Good evening and welcome to the City of Roswell Mayor and City Council meeting for February 26, 2024. I'm Mayor Kurt Wilson. I'd like to acknowledge my colleagues and council members present. Councilmember Sarah Beeson, Councilmember Christine Hall, Councilmember Lee Hills, Councilmember David Johnson, Councilmember William Mortland, and Councilmember Alan Sells. I would also like to acknowledge that this evening we are very blessed to have Boy Scout Troop 356 here joining us. Thank you, gentlemen, for being with us today. And we also have a very special guest. We have Katha Stewart, who's our Fulton County School Board District 1 representative, who's joined us tonight. So thank you, Katha, for being here as well. At this time, I'd like to turn it over to our City Administrator, Mr. Randy Knighton, to explain how the meeting is run. Mr. Knighton.
Thank you, Mayor Wilson, and good evening to everyone. In accordance with Section Chapter 3.70 of the City Code, the City Council shall hold regular public meetings. Purpose of City Council meetings are for the public to participate and speak on agenda items which do constitute formal decisions by the elected body. These items are listed on the published agenda, which can be accessed via the city website prior to the meeting. This is a public meeting, and there are some items which require a formal public hearing. A significant and important component of City Council meetings are to hear directly from residents on items listed on the agenda. Public comments or questions are essential for Mayor and Council to consider as they contemplate each decision. And residents are at the top of the organizational chart for the City of Roswell, and therefore it is imperative for Mayor and Council to hear from residents in these meetings. If you would like to speak on an agenda item, we ask that you fill out a comment card, which can be found at the back of the room to ensure an accurate record of the meeting. We ask, of course, that everyone observe the principles of mutual respect and display the appropriate demeanor during the course of the meeting this evening, which is and should reflect this great community. The mayor is the presiding officer for the meeting and will ensure the orderly exchange of comments, questions, and discussion leading to decision-making by the elected body. We do encourage those in attendance and the viewing audience to visit the city website for meetings, events, and departmental information. We also encourage everyone to review and participate in the various activities and offerings here in the city of Roswell, and visit roswell365.com for a calendar of events, which will be mentioned shortly, along with other announcements. We ask that everyone take part in these events, which promote community, physical activity, and leisure, as we all make Roswell the #1 family community in America. Mayor Wilson.
Thank you, Mr. Knighton. At this time, I would like to call from Boy Scout Troop 356, young Mr. William Thomas, to lead us in the invocation and moment of silence.
Please join me in prayer. Dear Lord, thank you for the time you've given us this evening to discuss matters that involve the City Council and our local community. I pray that you would guide our minds and the minds of this council so that they can make decisions honoring to you and honoring to this community. I pray that you would guide the citizens here so that they can speak up on issues that concern them, and that they may guide our City Council as well so that decisions are not made that impact our citizens negatively. We pray all this in your name. Amen.
Thank you, William, very much. Thank you, William Thomas. At this time, I'd like to call United States Army Captain Michael A. Bagnulo to come forward and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So, Captain Bagnulo, I'm going to ask you to stay up there, and I'd like to ask the council to come down under the first item under the mayor's report, which is the reading of a proclamation for the esteemed Veteran of Roswell Award to United States Captain Michael A. Bagnulo.
Thank you. My pleasure. Yep. My pleasure. Thank you. My pleasure. Welcome.
Amber, except for the press. The press has to stay at home. Stand home. Hello. Proclamation, Office of the Mayor, Captain Michael A. Bagnulo, esteemed veteran. Whereas the city of Roswell recognizes and honors the selfless service and sacrifices of our esteemed veterans, whose dedication to duty exemplifies the highest ideals of patriotism and valor. And whereas Captain Michael A. Bagnulo served with honor and distinction in the United States Army from 1967 to 1978, demonstrating unwavering commitment and valor in defense of our nation's ideals. And whereas upon his graduation from the Virginia Military Institute in June 1967, Michael Bagnulo was commissioned as a second lieutenant in the United States Army Infantry, embarking on a remarkable journey of service that spanned over a decade. And whereas Second Lieutenant Bagnulo's assignments included serving as the XO of Bravo Company, 2nd Battalion Airborne, 504 Infantry, 82nd Airborne Division, where he exhibited exemplary leadership and dedication to the welfare of his company members. Additionally, he graduated from Airborne School and Ranger School and was promoted to First Lieutenant. Whereas First Lieutenant Bagnulo's service also took him to the front lines of the Vietnam War, where he served as a senior advisor to a Vietnamese infantry battalion, earning numerous awards and commendations for his valor and meritorious service, including the Combat Infantryman's Badge and the Bronze Star with V for valor, and was promoted to captain. Whereas Captain Bagnulo served 3 years with the 8th Infantry Division in Baumholder, Germany, first as the S3 of the 708th Maintenance Battalion, and then as the commanding officer of Company B, 1st Battalion, 39th Infantry. Whereas throughout his military career, Captain Bagnulo displayed exceptional leadership and professionalism, serving in various command and instructional roles, including as commanding officer of Bravo Company, 1st Battalion Mechanized, 58th Infantry Brigade, and as an instructor at the U.S. Army Infantry School, contributing significantly to the development of Army tactics and training manuals. And whereas Captain Bagnulo's exemplary service to our nation is a testament to his unwavering dedication, selfless sacrifice, and devotion to duty. Now, therefore, I, Kurt M. Wilson, Mayor of the City of Roswell, Georgia, do hereby name Captain Michael A. Bagnulo, an esteemed veteran of Roswell, and call upon all our citizens to recognize his outstanding service to our country and to our community, and that there is no higher calling than those who serve in the United States Armed Forces. Thank you, sir. Would you share a few words?
Sure. Marcy, would you come up here, please? This is my wife, Marcy. We've been married for 56 years. We got married when I was a second lieutenant in the 82nd. When I went to Vietnam in January of '69, we were 24. We had a 9-year-old daughter. 9-month-old. I'm sorry. And that's why we've been married 56 years. 9-month-old daughter, and she was pregnant with our second daughter. So the year that I was in Vietnam, she had a toddler and a newborn to take care of. Then the 3 years in Germany, when I was in the field, most of the time she was taking care of our new son. And so the point being, this award is not for me, it's for you, Marcy. Everything that I've done or been successful at is because you've supported me for 56 years, and I appreciate it, and I love you.
Go ahead, stay up here.
That's the best tribute I've heard in 2 years. That's pretty awesome.
Take some pictures. Do you want your friends up here?
Sure, yeah, Mike and Paige, come on.
He's coming. Yeah. Come on, jump right in here in the middle.
No, don't. We don't want that. We should do.
No,
we-
this is great.
Thank you, Ms. Baker. Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it.
You want to stay?
But thanks.
It's going to get fun.
You've done your time. Thank you very much.
Actually, yeah, Boy Scouts, that's a great idea. Great idea to shake that man's hand and women and ladies' hand as they're walking out the door, because they're great examples of service. Thank you, Bagnulas. And I'm sitting a little low in my chair. I think Randy switched chairs with me before we got up here tonight. All right, next on the mayor's report is a list of upcoming events and some other announcements. And Councilman Hills, would you make some of those announcements, please, ma'am?
I'd be happy to, Mayor. Want to remind you all, if you are interested in what's going on around the city of Roswell, or if you would like to post something to all of our residents and neighbors, please do so on roswell365.com. It has a whole host of items that are going on, coming up, and if you have an event with an organization or your church or a neighborhood event that's open to the public, you can post your own event on there, and that way get much more exposure than just your own Facebook page or social media or flyers. Excuse me. We are also rounding out Roswell Roots Festival, which started late January and will end on March 2nd. This is the 23rd annual Roswell Roots Festival, and if you haven't been to any of the events, you've still got time to pop into a couple of them. We have at the Cultural Arts Center, February the 29th, the Roswell Roots Poetry Slam and Competition. That's February 29th from 7 until 9. We have the Roswell Photographic Society member exhibition at the Visual Arts Center. That's behind Roswell Area Park. That's March 1st through the 29th. And then we also have Dance Stars Spring Concert at the Cultural Arts Center. That's right around the corner from here, March 5th through March 9th. And also Roswell Beer Festival will be taking place again this year. Town Square Park, it's newly renovated with new lights. It's fantastic, new stonework and pathways. Check that out and have a beer. March 2nd from 1 until 6 p.m. You can find all of these events on roswell365.com. The Roswell Beer Festival is presented by Star House Foundation, one of the South's premier events, offering samples, live music, and cuisine from local restaurants. So I encourage you to pop in, get ready for spring, and enjoy some of the events coming soon here in Roswell.
Thanks, Lee. Let me just ask Jeff Leatherman, Steve Malone, just to come up here for a second. Just come up to the front for a second, please. And I don't guess Corinne is here by any chance. I didn't give any forewarning. So Lee just mentioned it, and just as an example, I want to thank Jeff and Steve. So Jeff is Assistant Deputy City Administrator, and Steve is our Director of the Parks and Rec, Historical Assets and Cultural Affairs Department. And under this has been the purview of many, many dynamic programs. One is Roswell Roots, and Roswell Roots has been going on for a while. But what this year has been, I would consider, unprecedented success in the programming and the attendance in the programming. And I wish Corinne was here so we could give her some love and credit for this too. And just an example, if you haven't been, there's only a couple of events, but like Saturday night, this past Saturday night, we had Carla Harris, who is a Roswell resident, along with the Joe Alterman Trio. And I will tell you folks that if you had a chance to be there, the jazz that got played in the city of Roswell rivaled anything that was being played in Manhattan, Chicago, Los Angeles, Atlanta, Memphis, or New Orleans or anywhere else in the world, here Saturday night in Roswell is absolutely fabulous. And I want to thank you guys for your leadership, and Corinne as well, for making such a fantastic month happening on Roswell Roots. Congratulations on your success. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right, so next on the mayor's report are appointments of the boards and commissions. I have no idea how badly Pro Tem Will Morthland screwed this up last time, so we'll take a stab at it here from a formal perspective. I'm going to read to you 5 boards and commissions appointments. I will ask for I'll tell you who they are. I'll tell you what board and commission they've been nominated for, and then I will ask for an up and down vote on that board and commission member. After that, we'll go down to the podium and take the oath of office with those boards, if they're approved by those boards and commission members that are present. So at this time, item number 3 under the mayor's report, approval of Board of Zoning Appeals appointment Rob Huey. For a simple up and down vote, all in favor, please raise your hand. All opposed, obviously none. Passes unanimously. Thank you. Congratulations, Rob. Approval of Downtown Development Authority appointment Will Colley. All in favor, please raise your hands. Thank you very much. Will passes unanimously. Approval of Downtown Development Authority reappointment Thomas Smith. All those in favor, please raise your hands. Thank you very much. Thomas passes unanimously. Approval of Downtown Development Authority reappointment Maureen Watley. All those in favor of Maureen's reappointment, please raise your hands. Passes unanimously. Congratulations, Maureen. Approval of Downtown Development Authority reappointment David White. All those in favor, please raise your hands. Passes unanimously. Thank you. Congratulations, David. I understand that David and Thomas and Will are not here this evening, so we'll read their oath of offices either at the next council meeting or when they come to City Hall, which I think Katrina will schedule. So at this time, I believe Mr. Rob Huey, brand new Board of Zoning Appeals Commissioner, is here, and also Maureen, who's been reappointed. Maureen, you're here as well, aren't you? Outstanding. Hey, Maureen. So Rob and Maureen, would you come up and join me at the front, please? So I'm going to go first with you, Rob. I'll read the oath of office to you. Obviously, repeat after me.
Right.
And then Maureen, I'll do you. So we're going to do it individually. How are you guys doing?
We're doing good.
Thanks for being here.
It's good to see you.
Great to see you. All right. Can you guys hear me okay right here? Perfect. All right, do you have your oath in front of you, Rob?
I do. Yes, sir.
Fantastic, thank you. Oath of office, State of Georgia, County of Fulton, City of Roswell. I, Rob Huey,
I, Rob Huey,
solemnly swear or affirm,
solemnly swear or affirm,
by the way, my bad. Please raise your right hand.
yeah,
Just dip your right hand.
That
So
looks
help you
good.
God, right? All right?
Yes.
Okay. I, Rob Huey,
I, Rob Huey,
solemnly swear or affirm
solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the state of Georgia,
and the state of Georgia,
and that I will in all respects
and that I will in all respects
observe the provisions of the Charter
observe the provisions of the Charter
and ordinance of the City of Roswell,
and ordinances of the city of Roswell,
and I will well
and I will well
and truly perform the duties
and truly perform the duties
of the office of the Board
of the office of the Board
of Zoning Appeals,
of Zoning Appeals,
and that I will to the utmost of my skill
and that I will to the utmost of my skill
and ability
and ability
endeavor to promote
the
interest and property of said city
interest and property of said city
without fear,
without fear,
favor, or affection,
favor, or affection,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations, sir.
Thank
you
you,
very
sir.
much, Rob. All right, Maureen, I'm going to get this started right, so please raise your right hand.
All right, here we go.
All right, repeat after me. Oath of office, State of Georgia, County of Fulton, City of Roswell. I, Maureen Watley,
I, Maureen Watley,
solemnly swear or affirm
solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and of the state of Georgia,
and of the state of Georgia,
and that I will in all respects
and that I will in all respects
observe the provisions of the Charter
observe the provisions of the Charter
and ordinances of the City of Roswell,
and ordinances of the City of Roswell,
and I will well
and I will very well
and truly perform
and truly perform
the duties of the office
the duties of the office
of the Downtown Development Authority,
of the Downtown Development Authority,
and that I will, to the utmost of my skill
and that I will, to the utmost of my skill
and ability,
and ability,
endeavor to promote the interest
endeavor to promote the interests
and property of said city
and property of said city
without fear,
without fear,
favor, or affection.
favor, or affection.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
It's good to see you.
Let me take all I have, guys. You gotta do the little,
Signatures?
you guys come on down.
You want us to sign here? Yeah, you can go ahead and sign.
Thank you so much. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. It's good to see you. Oh, they're coming down.
Congratulations.
Much of the lifeblood of the city is handled through boards and commissions and through those of residents or fellow residents who volunteer of their time in such an important way and contribute so much to what's happening in our city. All right. That ends the mayor's agenda. Next is the consent agenda. Does council have any questions or comments regarding any items or the consent agenda itself? Being that there are none, I'll ask if there are any Roswell residents who would like to speak on the consent agenda or have any questions on the consent agenda. Being that there are none, I'll bring it back to council for any final thoughts, comments, or questions. Being that there are none, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda? Motion by Councilmember David Johnson, seconded by Councilmember Alan Sells. All those in favor of the passing consent agenda, please raise your hands. Consent agenda passes unanimously. Thank you very much. All right, Christine, I did not give you any warning on this next item, but I'm going to ask you to present the first item under Administration and Governance Department. Would you read the item under the Administration and Governance?
Yes, Mayor. Item number 1, approval of a resolution to transition retirement plans to Transamerica and appointment of a retirement plan committee. And this will be presented by Linda Warren, our Human Resource Director.
Thank you, Christine. Welcome, Linda. Well, you're taking a long time. You like want some applause walking up here. So.
No, thank you. Hi, Linda Warren, Human Resources Director. We are seeking approval to transition the City of Roswell's retirement plans from Mission Square, our defined contribution plan, and the Georgia Municipal Employees Association, our defined benefit plan administrator. Any questions?
Do you want to ask Jim or anybody else to come up and make any comments? Jim Fallon?
Linda was slow.
I know. Jim, do us a favor, share with our everybody who you are and what you do and kind of how this came about and why this is such a big deal.
Yeah, it is a big deal, and Mr. Mayor and members of the council, thank you so much for taking the time and focusing on the seriousness of being good stewards over the city's finances. We were engaged by the city back in September of 2022 to evaluate the city's defined benefit and defined contribution retirement programs. And what we were able to do, even initially in the first couple months, was to go to the incumbent defined contribution provider, Mission Square. And they know me from the industry and the marketplace. And I told them that we were going to have to shop this. It had been 30 years since this program had been taken to market for pricing. And so they immediately said, yes, we anticipate that with you involved. And they immediately reduced their fees over $90,000 a year without even going to RFP. So that was a good first step, but we continued on and powered through the complete process with the best interest of the city of Roswell at heart, always. And going through that process, we issued an RFP, and that was sent out to about 30 firms. We received 8 qualified proposals, of which we narrowed that down to 3 finalist firms. Those were brought in last, September 27th for interviews with my team as well as staff here from the city. And we still weren't satisfied. We went back and did a best and final offer and asked them to sharpen their pencil a little bit more. We're familiar with what folks can do in the marketplace just based on our experience. And, I knew we could get another basis point or 2 out of them. Thank you, Jason. But it's been a lengthy process and one that I'm very proud to be a part of. And your staff should be commended, from Randy Knighton and Sharon Izo, Jeff Leatherman, Linda Warren, big quarterback here with the staff. And I'd like to acknowledge Amy Thomas, your benefits and compensation person. And Friday is apparently her last day. She has going to retire and go on to North Georgia. But it's just been a tremendous experience. And it's not often that you go through this type of process and you can honestly say that this has been significant. This is real millions of dollars that we're talking about, potential savings here. So we know that on the hard dollar side that we're going to save the city approximately, we don't want to over promise and under deliver, but we know we'll be in the neighborhood of an additional $425,000 a year. So over the first 5 years, that'll amount to about $2.125 million. And again, we expect that when we bring the defined benefit plan in-house, out of the association platform, that we will have substantial additional savings once we get in and get your own actuary, your own record keeper, and we've got your own attorney here, Ed Emerson, with Morris, Manning, and Martin, and our consulting expertise. My firm is a part of Callan, and Callan is the largest independent institutional consulting firm in the country. In fact, we work with 26 of the 50 state government pension funds in our nation. So we know what we're doing. I'm very proud of this work, and I think that you'll be very pleased with not only the savings that the city will receive, but also the employees, even more importantly. And in addition to that, when you go to a defined contribution plan, such as the city did about 13 years ago, as you all know from the administrative committee meeting a couple weeks ago, you're shifting the responsibility of the investment performance from the city over to the individual employee. Well, what do you need to do? What do you really need to focus on at that point when you do that type of transition? Well, you got to make sure your employees know how to invest their money. So we've also had a severe lack of education and training for your employees to understand how to properly utilize asset allocation in their portfolios. So I don't think we need to say much more. It's been long overdue to go through a normal bid process anyway. These are the results of that process, and this is our recommendation, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Jim. And Linda, thank you. By the way, Amy, congratulations. Thank you for your service. Please, everybody, give a little round of applause for Amy. We're going to miss Amy. I know my wife's going to miss you. She always spends time. You've always been such a great help to us, Amy. Thank you. Jim, Linda, number one, thank you, because this all started as a consequence, by the way, Deputy City Administrator Leatherman reminded me today that this process started as a consequence of the zero-based budgeting process. And I'm sure council's fixing to weigh in on this a little bit here, because there's really some interesting and dynamic pieces of information to share, particularly over the last 10 years. As you know, this transition began 13 years ago in 2011. But the numbers that you've provided to us in the last 10 years are striking.
Mr. Mayor, those aren't our numbers.
Those are our numbers.
Those are the numbers that were provided to us by the GMA.
Yeah, so it's going to be, to say this is way overdue is an understatement. But thank God you guys are involved in this, and thank you for bringing your professionalism to this and serving the city, and will serve the city, I think, significantly, very positively going forward. But I'm going to let our council weigh in on this. Councilmember Sells.
How much was the fee savings you said? 600,000, 650?
We are at 400, annually, 425,000. That's hard dollar that we can definitely identify.
That certainly is a great thing, but I really would encourage the citizens to go back and look at that committee meeting where we discussed in depth. The real issue here is the actuarial lack of rigor, I guess, perhaps that's a good way to put it, that has allowed what was a relatively modest liability to burgeon over years, even as we served it, as we provided funds for that. And what's the final current unfunded liability per GMA today?
You really want to know, sir?
Yes, sir.
As of last week, $25.7 million.
And what's interesting, would you share what the unfunded liability was when we began this 10 years ago?
I would too.
Not 13, just 10.
It was 9.3 million.
9.4 million.
9.4, and the unfunded liability is what today?
25.7, sir.
And so this, which is fascinating, because it sounds like we're just talking numbers, but what to let folks know is that basically the city of Roswell has been subsidizing a pension fund for a lot of other cities without having true accountability. And the number that I would throw out there is $49.3 million we've paid that has not been in the best interest of the benefit of the citizens, the residents of Roswell, the Roswell government, and the beneficiaries of this. So to say that I'm thankful you guys are involved in this, and that this is a product of the zero-based budgeting process and beginning to unearth things. So Linda, thank you for your leadership in beginning this process, because the service to the city it's calculable. It's just so large, it's hard to believe the numbers are as big as they are.
Yeah. The other thing that I would point out is, as a CFO myself, I always say that the operators live or die, get fired on the operating statement, the P&L, but the CFOs get fired on the balance sheet. And nobody was paying attention to the balance sheet because this liability has been growing and disclosed on our financial statement for all these years, and it was not focused on. And that's the real scandal to me.
Sir, I'm just thankful that this mayor and council sees that and takes their fiduciary responsibility so seriously, along with the leadership of the city administrator and your staff.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. Council, any other thoughts, comments, or questions? Councilmember Hills.
Thank you, Mayor Wilson. I'd like to point out that this is yet one more example of how the leadership in this city has gone above and beyond. Director Warren, I can't thank you enough. I was in the meeting when you had to reveal this information to the mayor and several others. Jim was there as well, and with professionalism and not even chagrined. It was just the facts, and this has got to be put back on track in the way that our residents would have us operate. So I commend you.
Thank you.
You're not the only one doing that sort of thing in this city, and I'm proud of our team that we have. So many stellar employees, but today, this is about you, and I really, really appreciate it. It's about all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Lee. Any other thoughts, comments, or questions from council? Yes, Councilmember Hill. Oh, sorry. Christine.
No, again, a big thank you. And this is where, as we keep unpacking the onion and are just more surprised as time goes on, complacency is a big devil in and keeping programs for 30 years, accounting firms for 19 years, and so on and so forth is just, it can be very detrimental. Thank you for finding these things.
Christine, to your point, it's one of the reasons that we were elected as to this mayor and council position, was to begin to evaluate and to change things up that weren't working and haven't been working, and the financial consequences of this have been of great consequence to the city in a very adverse position. All right, at this time, I'd like to raise this question, or for any thoughts, comments, or questions from any Roswell residents who would like to address this matter in any shape, manner, or form. Being that there are none, I'll bring it back to council for any final thoughts, comments, or questions. Thank you, council. So I believe this is yours. Christine, would you like to make a motion?
Yes, Mayor. I'd like to motion to approve item number 1, approval of the resolution to transition retirement plans to Transamerica and the appointment of a retirement plan committee.
Thank you, Councilmember Hall. Is there a second on that motion? Seconded by Councilmember Sells. All those in favor of passing the motion, please raise your hands. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Congratulations, Linda. Joe, thanks for being here with us very much. And by the way, that deserves a lot of applause. I'm telling you guys. You have no idea. That's a big deal. Alan, I'm very excited. This is going to be your first one. So the next is Environmental Public Works Department. Councilmember Alan Sells, would you read the item, please, sir?
I will. Thank you, Mayor. One of the pleasures of being elected is I get to introduce my friend Brian here, so that's a great blessing.
Exactly.
So this is item number 2, approval of a text amendment to the Unified Development Code, the UDC, Article 12, Environmental Protection, Section 12.5, Stormwater Management, and Article 13, Administration, 13.2, Review Authority, and this is the second reading, and it will be presented by Sir Brian Watson.
Thank you so much, Alan. City Attorney Davidson, would you read the ordinance, please, sir?
Thank you. This is an ordinance to amend the Unified Development Code by modifying Article 12, Environmental Protection, and Article 13, Administration. Now, therefore, the mayor and council of the city of Roswell, Georgia, pursuant to their authority, do hereby amend Article 12, Environmental Protection, Section 12.5, Stormwater Management, and Article 13, Administration, Section 13.2, Review Authority of the Unified Development Code, as shown in Exhibit A attached hereto and incorporated herein by reference, and if approved, this is the second reading.
Thanks, David. Mr. Watson.
All right, thank you, Mayor and Council. I appreciate it. All right, I'll have to do it from over here. So as this is the, sorry about that. Yes, please. As this is the second reading of this text amendment, next slide, we initiated this UDC amendment back in September of 2023. We went to Planning Commission in January of 24. We had the first reading February 12th, and we're having the second reading tonight. Next slide. So the primary changes and the reason for these text amendments is number 1 is to put all stormwater review authority under the Environmental Protection, Environmental Public Works Department. Currently it is under 2 departments, and so this text amendment will put it under 1 department. And then the second thing that this will do is remove duplicative language regarding variances to stormwater design. So this is a summary of changes that's in your packet. When we took this to Planning Commission, January 16th of this year, Planning Commission recommended that we approve all changes, and then staff recommends that we approve all changes. With that, I'll take any questions.
Brian, thank you. The thing that I would say to you, just for clarity's sake, for us lay people, what's really cool about this, and really, again, another very significant change of some consequence inside the bureaucracy that matters, is it stopped the siloing of activity with storm-related activities and brought it under, in our view, in your view, the professional view, the house it belonged to, Public Works. And so that all storm activity really will belong to EPW, which is where it belongs, and this kind of formalizes that. So thank you for getting that done. Council, any thoughts, comments, or questions on this matter? Being that there are none, I'll ask Any Roswell residents? Any thoughts, comments, or questions on this item? Being that there are none, Council Member Sells, would you like to make a motion, please, sir?
So moved.
Would you please, I'm sorry, I apologize. Would you make a motion as stating the full reading?
Oh,
I
sorry.
apologize.
Oh, now I got to go back up. to the
I know
top of
it.
the page. Got it, thanks. Mayor, I'd like to move that we approve a text amendment to the Unified Development Code, Article 12, Environmental Protection, Section 12.5, Stormwater Management, and Article 13, Administration, 13.2, Review Authority. That's my motion.
Second reading.
Second reading.
Councilmember Sells, that was beautiful. Thank you.
Is that great
It
or
was
what?
perfect. It was absolutely great. So Councilmember Sells has made a motion. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilmember Beeson. All in favor, please raise your hands. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Congratulations, Brian. Thank you, sir, for your hard work on that. Next on the agenda is the Finance Department. This time, Christine, I don't have to warn you, do I? Would you please read the first item under Finance?
Yes, Mayor. Item number 3, approval of a budget amendment, BA 1001-5000-0226 for the purchase of land in the amount of $4,511,295. And Ms. Georgia McCray, our Deputy Director of Finance, will present. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Hi, Georgia.
So this item is just consideration of a budget amendment for the purchase of the land from Bowen Road and Woodstock Road for the amount of $4,511,295. Upon approval of this budget amendment, the funding in the amount of $4,511,295 will be available in the general fund. So I will take any questions you may have.
Thanks, Georgette, so much. Council, any thoughts, comments, or questions on the matter? Being that there are none, any Roswell residents have any thoughts, comments, or questions on the matter at hand? Being that not, I bring it back to council for any final thoughts, comments, or questions. Being that there are none, Council Member Hall, would you like to state a motion?
Yes, Mayor. Motion to approve item number 3, approval of a budget amendment, BA 1001-5000-0226 for the purchase of land in the amount of $4,511,295.
Thank you, Councilmember Hall. Is there a second for the motion? Seconded by Councilmember Hills. All those in favor, please raise your hands. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Thank you, Georgette. Thank you. Next on the agenda is the city attorney's. Yeah. Next on the agenda is the city attorney's report. David Davidson, would you please read the first item, sir?
Thank you, Mayor. The first item I have is approval of a text amendment to Article 4.4 Massage Establishments and Spas of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Roswell. This would be the second reading.
Would you please read the ordinance, sir?
Thank you, Mayor. This is an ordinance to amend Chapter 4, Article 4.4 Massage Establishments and Article 10.13 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Roswell to permit and regulate massage establishments within the City of Roswell and for other purposes. Now therefore, the Mayor and Council of the City of Roswell, pursuant to their authority, do hereby adopt the following amendment, text of which is incorporated herein by reference, and if approved, this is the second reading.
Thank you, City Attorney Davidson. Does council have any thoughts, comments, or questions on the matter? Being that there are none, yes, sir.
I've got a few comments.
Oh, you got a few comments? You got
that's
legal
okay.
comments
I
before we get
do.
to the council?
I do,
Okay.
if that's okay.
My mistake. City Attorney Davidson has a few comments.
So after the first reading, I worked with the attorney for the Massage Therapy Association, the Georgia chapter. I don't think he's here tonight, but he was at the legislature. And I have some recommended changes that are in the document in front of you now, if council would like to consider those. These are just for your consideration. And they're the red line version. I sent it to you by email. I didn't finish it until this afternoon, but they're here in front of you. Some are just, I had some wording in there twice. Other more substantial changes are in here. And with your indulgence, Mayor, I would like to go through those if that's okay.
Please
with
do.
you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the first one would be in Article 10.13.1. And there's basically, I would incorporate a solo practitioner who is a licensed Georgia massage therapist in the language that would tend to safeguard against unlawful sexual activities in the massage establishment premises.
Councilmember Hall.
Would it be helpful if somebody put this on the overhead?
It would be very helpful.
Thank you, Christine. Jeff Leatherman to the rescue. This will be on page 2, if you're looking at this. 2 of 18. Section 10.13.1. Purpose and legislative findings. David, while Jeff's doing that, just would you kind of reiterate to everybody who you worked with on this to help update this language?
Yes, sir. I worked with the attorney for the Massage Therapy Association of America, the Georgia chapter.
Thanks so much, David. And when did that meeting take place, or when did those meetings take place?
They started the week after the first reading, and then we kind of I finished up typing these today, so they just came out this afternoon.
And these are all been done with his or her agreement?
They were mostly his suggestions. And my agreement.
Okay, thank you, sir.
My agreement to present it to council.
All right, good to go. Page 2 of 18, section 10.13.1.
Okay, and then the next one is just I had establishment in there twice in section 10.13.2. I added a definition of medical complex on page 4 and 10.13.4. The people that the article will not be enforced against is a person granted an exemption pursuant to this chapter during the time the exemption is in place.
David, could you read the medical complex piece change, just so everybody can
Yes.
follow? Keep it with you, sir.
Sorry. Medical complex this is just a definition, means a property or cluster of properties that include offices or businesses of healthcare professionals, all of which are licensed by the state of Georgia. And then the 10.13.4, scope of the regulations, just talked about. The next page, one of the requirements to exempt a person is that nobody can be on the premises under number 5 other than a Georgia licensed massage therapist. The massage establishment license required. This requirement will not apply to a Georgia licensed massage therapist that is employed, not contracted, by a hospital or healthcare professional licensed by the state of Georgia. So this would be a massage therapist at a hospital, basically. That's an employee of the hospital itself.
What about a chiropractor?
It would apply to a chiropractor.
Okay.
Regulated by the state. The next change is on page 7, under number 12. This is just clarifying that the owner could be the registered agent, provided they live in one of the counties. That question came up at the first reading, so I just wanted to clarify that the owner could be the registered agent. The next change is on page 12. This requires that any time a massage is being performed on the premises, that it will be performed by a Georgia licensed massage therapist. And that failure to have a Georgia licensed massage therapist on site for performing any massage therapy on a patron when such action is occurring is a direct violation of the article.
It says, so would they have to update the list with the city every time they have a change in management or staff, as looking at D?
So they're required to do that anyway.
Okay, perfect.
Yes. On page 13, this is the distance requirement. Through discussions, I thought it would be appropriate to allow the city administrator to bring a request for a variance to the distance requirements if the massage establishment is located in a medical complex. We do have some medical complexes that are very close to some residences or a church, and so I felt that it would be appropriate to let mayor and council decide if it would be appropriate to allow the establishment there. And I believe that is all of the recommended changes from my perspective.
Thank you, David. Any other comments on your changes before we turn over to council? David, any other thoughts?
No, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And just for the record, who was the attorney you worked with?
He was the attorney for the Massage Therapy Association of America, the Georgia chapter.
Thank you very much. Council, any thoughts, comments, or questions on this matter? Yes, Councilmember Beeson.
For section 10.13.4 subsection 5, whether the establishment is solely operated by a person who has not been continually licensed pursuant to the Georgia Massage Therapy Practice Act for at least 4 years, the stipulation that no other individuals, employees, contractors, or agents are located at the premises that are not Georgia licensed massage therapists. How will that be interpreted for Georgia licensed massage therapists to operate as part of a sublease or as a subcontract within locations? So for example, a chiropractor's office, they might have their own separate room where they provide massage services, but the rest of the business is not massage therapy related.
So if that massage therapist is getting a business license from the city of Roswell and is not part of the chiropractic office itself, the chiropractic office itself is exempt, as is the massage therapist.
So as long as they have their own separate business license from the entity which they're operating within, they're okay?
Yes, provided they're not other individuals on site, right?
Got it, thank you.
Sarah, any follow-up? Thanks very much. Council, any other thoughts, comments, questions? Very good. Any Roswell residents or Roswell businesses that are related to this would like to address this matter?
Evening, Joe Taylor,
Joe, tell us who you are, where you're from?
3022 Glendower Way, Roswell, Georgia. Massage therapist. I want to apologize this evening. I am not well prepared. Didn't get this till almost 5 o'clock tonight. And it's hard to read over legal stuff and that quick when I have other things other than just to be here. So, I'm a little off tonight because of that. Anyway, so I'm not going to be able to address everything that probably I would normally address. On 1013, this is on page 4, 1013.3, this article shall not be enforced against. This is item number B1. Any natural person who's a physician, chiropractor, physical therapist, and licensed massage therapist. We need to have licensed in there, not just massage therapist. Clarify that for you guys. Okay, I want to make sure that I understand this. This is going to be under 10.13.4. Item E5, page 5. Whether the establishment is solely operated by a person who has been continually licensed pursuant to Georgia Massage Therapy Practice Act for at least 4 years and no other individual employees, contractors, or agents are located at the premises that are not licensed massage therapists, such individuals shall be required to provide a state license, I'm making this shorter, and required to show that our practice liability insurance. Okay, so that describes me to a T. So do I have to have additional license? What do I have to do as a solo that I fit that to the T?
You would apply for the exemption.
Turn my light off.
I don't have control of that.
Please.
But you would have.
Beg your pardon? I'm sorry?
I asked for my light to be turned off, please, because David's talking. And I don't have a lot of time, and I'm not well prepared, so thank you.
So you would apply to the city administrator for the exemption for the 1 year,
Okay,
for each year. And then you would have to get your business registration through the city still.
okay, so my occupational tax.
Right.
Okay, so what is the difference, David, between me, am I still gonna have to fill everything out, or I just take this and say, this is what I have?
Yeah, you would just apply for the exemption to the city administrator.
And is there a separate packet for that? Separate forms?
It's going to be a written thing that you would meet these requirements, and you would just write to the city administrator. He can contact the police chief and tell him that you're exempt.
Okay, so we don't have that ready yet, that paperwork.
It's going to be an exemption, so there's not really any paperwork other than you applying for it.
How will I apply for it?
You write to the city administrator and request it.
So I'm just gonna write Mr. Knighton
Correct.
a letter
Correct.
requesting with both of those information attached.
Correct.
And then Mr. Knighton will
Contact you if there's any conditions, and then contact the police chief and let them know any conditions.
Okay, so then 1013.5, again on page 5, is not going to apply to me.
It's free time, Randy.
1013.4.5.
10.13.5.
0.5.
A.
Right, you would be exempt from that.
Okay, so that will not apply to the,
Correct. If
Individual.
you get the exemption.
okay. I apologize. I'm going to jump to this because it's in front of me.
All right,
On
Jill-
page
Jill-
14.
Jill, let me ask you a question. Do you have some specific comments about the pieces at hand? Because obviously, if we can, I think we can set up a time separately.
I would love that. I've asked for it before, and I would absolutely love to sit down rather than taking council time.
Yes, ma'am?
For this, and I appreciate that offer very much.
Absolutely. I think
Yeah.
that's very easy to do, right? So, Randy, we can make that happen. Yes, sir? Okay.
And I would like to invite Charles to come with me because he has a whole different set of concerns that I think we both sort of understand. We've met and talked, and that it's something that I think can help the council and the police department to establish what they can. And we would love that.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
I'm sorry I'm so frustrated tonight. I'm overwhelmed because I'm a slow reader and I'm just.
No, there's a lot. It's a lot to unpack.
Yes,
And I
it
think that,
is.
to your point, is that we want to make sure that we protect
Thank you.
you
Thank you.
and your fellow practitioners. That is a very important part of this whole process. And we want to make sure that you don't get penalized, you don't get hurt. And I think I've shared this to you before. I really think that this is going to be good for business.
Right.
Because it will stop some of the silliness, which is not so silly, that you guys have to put up with from time to time.
Right. Well, and we want to make sure that you guys are getting covered as well. It's not all one-sided.
Yes, ma'am.
It's, pardon me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's a joint effort. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
I
Jill.
appreciate that offer.
So we'll
Who should
follow-
I call to set the appointment up with, David?
Mr. Knighton, start at the top.
Knighton.
Start at
Okay.
the top.
And then you can organize everybody else.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Are there other Roswell residents? Yes, sir?
Hi, good evening.
Would you do me a favor and share
my name
with
is-
me who you are? And
Yeah.
are you a Roswell resident or a Roswell
Yeah,
business?
my name is Charles Weiss. I'm a Roswell resident at 6180 Paddingham Drive, Roswell, Georgia.
Thanks, Charles.
30075. Also own a business here in Roswell. So I'll lead off with the statement I made 3 weeks ago because nothing has changed. This is a cluster mess and you're not doing enough to fix it. So as of 1:35 today, there was no changes to it. There's a second reading. And help me understand this because I'm fairly new to a lot of this stuff. Were there supposed to be changes and then a second reading with the changes, or is the second reading exactly the same as the first reading?
So the ordinance was approved for first reading, and all these are my suggested changes to the mayor and council.
So the
it's up to
second
this-
reading is exactly the same as the first reading?
Correct,
Okay.
unless they adopt any of my changes.
So when do changes get made that citizens can look at and then actually come to council and discuss? Because I saw a bunch of changes real quick that you did at the last minute that was not available to any of us online. It wasn't available by calling the office that handles the city council's office.
You are free to contact me at any time if you see any changes that need to be in there, and I'll be more than happy to bring it back to mayor and council.
I've contacted you multiple times.
You contacted me once, and I've talked to you in my
Representatives of your
office.
office, and we still seem to be getting nowhere. There's 5 departments that are specifically attached to this thing. They're not communicating with each other. They're not communicating with the citizens of Roswell. So I would love to spend 3.5 minutes discussing all these things. There's way too many. You didn't even take a moment and take out spa establishment out of any of this stuff, which is the simplest, easiest thing to do. But just to handle some things under employee, why isn't a licensed massage therapist an employee of a licensed massage establishment? We can discuss that later. Under premises, I have a parking lot. I am in no way, shape, or form do I own it or control it, but according to your language, that parking lot only matters if I own it or control it. As a tenant, I don't own it or control it. So again, language in a law that means absolutely nothing, right? In section D of 1013.2, you like the word crime a lot. I don't know if it's in there specifically from a legal standpoint, or you don't realize that it's at the top of the section and needs to be done away with. In section 1013.4, this article shall not be enforced against a licensed massage therapist, is basically what you're saying. So if a licensed massage therapist is in the back doing something illicit, which is very rare, you're saying this article doesn't even apply to them. Is that something that's actually been discussed, right? Our goal here is 2 things. One, we want to protect licensed massage therapists and do away with illicit massage therapy establishments. This law is not accomplishing that in its current form. If I'm a massage therapist, is my employee required to get a permit? It's not very clear here. Office hours aren't very clear. You say office hours are till 9, but they have to be out by 10. If somebody shows up at 8:59, are they allowed to be on the premises for an hour as long as they're off the premises by 10 o'clock? All of this stuff we've discussed at length, and nothing's been changed with it. In section 1013.5, a massage establishment license is required. This license is required in addition to obtaining an occupational tax certificate. It actually precludes the tax certificate. So it needs to be very specific about those things. We've discussed at length the fact that what the city seems to go after and the police department goes after is the illicit activity, but that happens at a state level and happens in Fulton County Court. Well, quite honestly, Fulton County is not going to take somebody who has been trafficked and is forced to do illicit things and prosecute them. Plus, we all know that they're playing whack-a-mole. They're changing corporate identities, right? So when you take somebody and take them downtown, the city of Roswell isn't following the things that are within their own structure to do. There's a place next door to me. Not once did a police officer drive by and go, those shades aren't allowed to be down. Here's your ordinance violation, right? I mean, just simple, straightforward things. None of this has been fixed in any of this. So quite honestly, it's my recommendation to continue the moratorium until all of this gets fixed. And again, I would love to meet directly with you guys because this is something that's going to take hours to fix. And to my knowledge, nothing's been fixed. right? The second reading is nice, and I'm glad that you met with the Massage Therapy Association.
Thank you, Charles. Thank
Getting
you.
rid of the illicit massage stuff
Thanks for your time.
is not
Thank
something
you,
that's
sir.
being handled.
Thank you. Are there other Roswell residents? Yes, ma'am? Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you for your clarification. Thanks. Just share us with your Roswell business. I imagine it's related to this item. Yes, ma'am?
It's, my name's Margaret Scally, and you want my business?
Yes, ma'am.
It's 600 House Way, Unit A, Roswell, Georgia.
Thanks, Margaret.
What I wanted to ask is, every time I'm trying to fill out these forms for you guys, the people in business registration and the people at the police department are saying, we're having a standstill of massage therapy applications here. I handed my application in the other day. I didn't want to. Mr. Davidson, I'm sure that you would not recommend for me to be signing things and handing things in when nothing's clear here, nothing's done. But I handed it in because they keep saying at March 1st, we're coming, we want to know. So I've been doing that. Is there any way we can get that? Mine's already handed in, but is there any way we can get an extension for other massage therapists? Because nothing's clear here. We don't know yet what we're kind of signing. Can we get an extension? Can they get an extension?
So I think the police chief might want to address that.
So I cannot address the extension. That is a hard question, but as of January 1st, 2024, massage establishment licenses are required.
March 1st or January 1st?
January 1st.
But everything got messed up, I think, during the pandemic, and they started doing March was when they started doing our occupational.
So I think you're confusing two things. My understanding, the business license office gives a grace period until March 1st for a business license occupancy permit. That does not apply to a massage spa establishment license. The dates those were required was January 1st.
Thanks, Chief. Margaret, did you understand that distinction from the chief, or do you have a different distinction?
I'm still confused.
So you're asking for an extension on your business license or on your
On the entire thing, because nobody knows what everyone's a little bit in shell shock right now, that those of us that are legal, doing everything right. And so I'm curious why we can't have an extension, because nothing's completely written on all the different licenses. I don't even know. I'm going to have to go to Joe and ask her how many licenses I need. I don't even know how many. My head is boggled by what I need now. I know I need a police license, an occupational license, my state board massage therapy license. Am I missing something?
So Roswell requires, David.
So we'll require a massage establishment, and we require you to get your business license or occupancy tax paid to the city.
Are there any other licenses that are required for say, a licensed massage therapist in the state of Georgia who practices massage therapy legally in Roswell? I'm required to have a business license, right? And I'm required to have
a massage establishment license, and if you have any employees, they will need to have work permits.
Okay. It's the other ones.
And then your state licenses
which is
between you and the
separate.
state.
So for us, you need a business license?
Is that with the police license?
No, ma'am.
It's different.
Well,
Okay.
Right, that's, one is business license, and that's here, and then over at the police department, you'll get your massage establishment license.
Okay. All right. Our other problem is there's been quite a few massage therapists who panicked and went and got that surety bond. That's off the table, isn't it, now?
If this passes, it is off the table.
Okay. As far as the extension goes, I'm just asking for the others. This has been a lot, and it's very unclear. Is there any way that they can get at least a month?
On the business license or
All of them. All of them.
Currently, it's under moratorium, correct? I think it
okay,
is,
okay.
right? I think, Jim, you're shaking your head no.
So the moratorium is just for new businesses.
For new businesses.
And those that change.
But if I'm an
names.
existing licensed massage therapist and I have an existing business, every year, I apply and I get a new business license for the city of Roswell. And there's a grace period of that up until March 1st historically, is that correct?
The business license.
On the
office,
business
yes.
license, right? So let's just make that. So one's the business license, that's due on January 1st with a grace period through March the 1st, is that correct?
That's
Jeff?
correct.
Yes? And now, the second license, which is a part of this process, correct?
Massage establishment.
The massage establishment license, that license for existing licensed massage therapist, that is now being done, correct? And has been done.
So that was due January 1st.
And you're asking for an extension on that. And Jim, how have we been handling that, Chief?
Trying to think the easy way to answer this. If I get a complaint to a location, we would go out, it's officer discretion, the officer might issue a warning, verbal warning, written warning, or might issue a citation for not having that license.
So,
Question, and this came up a lot at the open house, and the answer I gave at the open house, many of you will remember, is if you ask me officially, January 1st, you have to have an establishment license. Enforcement of that is a different matter.
so if I'm Marine and I don't have my licensed, what's the technology?
Massage establishment.
Licensed massage establishment license today for 2024, she can come apply for that license at the police department now, is that correct?
Correct, and we encourage them to do that.
Okay. Maureen, does that answer your question?
It does. We're good. Thank you
Okay.
very much.
Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
I
So
appreciate
one,
it. Yeah, I got it. Thank you very much. Thank you.
thank you. I'm going to ask, sorry, and I apologize, Chris, I apologize. One conversation in the hall, please. Sir? Charlie. One conversation in the hall. If you guys want to talk, please go outside. I apologize. All right. Any other thoughts, comments, or questions from any Roswell residents or Roswell businesses that are in this business? Hello? So please share with, are you a Roswell resident?
She's a Roswell business owner. I'm just helping her translate.
Outstanding. So would you share with us your business, please?
It is called Pamper Your Feet Massage. It's located on, no, is that the one? Well, she has one, she purchased the business right before the moratorium was in place. She purchased it on October 20th. She applied for her business license on November 13th, and
Can
then,
you provide the address of the business, please?
what is the address of the business?
Address?
Is it right here?
Yeah, address, Here.
880 Holcomb Bridge Road, Roswell, Georgia, 376.
If I could get a point of information just before we begin?
Yes, sir, Chief.
That was one of the two establishments that was scheduled for an appeal hearing last meeting.
Yes.
That the attorney withdrew the appeals for both of those establishments.
Thank you very much, Chief. So just to let you know, there is an appeal process for massage establishments.
Oh, you said he withdrew the,
He withdrew the appeals.
okay.
You know what I'm talking about, Samara?
Samad?
Yeah, Samad,
yeah.
yes. Yes, he
Okay.
withdrew both appeals.
Okay, I don't even know what that means.
He said he did not want to have the appeals, he just wanted the decision of the city administrator to stand. He advised they were going to follow the new UDC requirements for applying for a new license.
So basically reapplying?
Correct.
Oh, okay.
Under
so
the new UDC requirements.
Under new UDC requirements.
I can get you a copy of
Thanks,
all that.
okay. So, okay, well, basically that was my question. I was gonna ask where does she stand because she did get rejected for the license, I think, at the last hearing?
Correct.
So, yeah, so she kind of wants to know what she should do because she does, you know, she owes the monthly rent and stuff on the business, and that's stressing her out because she's not able to perform or, you know, do any work.
I think, as the chief alluded to, there's an appeal process. I think the attorney withdrew the appeal, and the decision of the city administrator stood in reference to the business. So I believe the process now is that she can reapply, correct, for a license. Once the moratorium is lifted.
Correct. Once the moratorium is expired on March 9th, I believe.
11th.
March 11th, I'm sorry. So once that is lifted, she can apply under the new UDC requirements.
Okay, and then, okay, I guess we'll just leave it at that, because one thing that she's worried about is about the, like, lease agreement with the landlord and who she purchased the business from. She's worried that if they don't give her her license, then she'll just have put all this money into this business and now owes all this money monthly. I kind of don't know what to tell her.
Yes. So the chief of police has very kindly said he'll meet with you outside.
Okay, perfect, thank
Which
you.
you can't meet with a better person on this issue.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Are there any other Roswell residents or Roswell businesses in this business who would like to address this matter? Thank you all for your time and consideration and comments. We'll bring it back to council. There are several things to consider. Council, any thoughts, any additional thoughts on the matter? Councilmember Hills?
Thank you, Mayor. This is for City Attorney David Davidson. So after these revisions, assuming they're accepted, go in and hearing that we've got professionals in the room in this industry that are concerned about having that come their way after tonight without another reading beyond that. How difficult is it to bring another thing if we get into meetings or discoveries even tomorrow to bring this back?
If there's changes that, I can bring the changes to mayor and council at a committee meeting, then it's just 2 readings of an ordinance to change the ordinance.
And is there any way to fast track that? Or by law, we have to do a first and second reading after committee?
I could bring it directly to mayor and council if.
And I don't know that we want to fast
Can
track.
I'm gonna just poll the council real quick, kind of to Lee's question. Council, do you want some additional illumination on the second reading to have this considered at the next council meeting? Is that what you would like?
If we vote on it, it is passed.
It's passed, that's right. You can vote on it, or vote it up or down, or you can defer this item. What I'm trying to poll you right now is, would you like to defer this to the next council meeting? Okay? Yes, Hill.
My question is, how is that going to play with the moratorium? Will we still be within the moratorium, or?
So the moratorium is March 1st, correct? March 11th, sorry.
Which is the day of the meeting.
That's the day of the meeting. You okay with that?
If you're going to do that, I would extend the moratorium until March 12th.
That was going to be mine.
All right, so I'm gonna put this matter to the side, and then we're gonna vote on deferring the moratorium, move the moratorium to the 12th. So council, with your permission, I'll do a little legislative trickery here. We're gonna take this item that we're considering right now, and we're gonna put it to the side, and I'm gonna submit a new item to you, and that is, would the council be receptive, by show of hands, of moving the current moratorium from March the 11th to March the 12th? By a show of hands, please say yes. Raise your hands if you're in agreement. Yep. Yes, sir, Councilmember Johnson, sorry.
I would actually maybe even expand it just a little bit more. Just in case there is,
Well, no, I was,
like
what date?
since March 11th, gosh, help me with math, 18th, 25th?
25th.
Yeah.
All right. So Councilman Beeson.
So I'm also very sensitive to the fact that there are people who are stuck in limbo right now with the moratorium. We just heard from one business owner who doesn't get to make rent in order to pay for her business, and that moratorium impacts them, and she is not the only one. That said, I'm amenable to March 12th. If we have to make an extension again, I would entertain that at March 11th meeting. But to the mayor's point, I think there's a couple of items. I don't think we're far off.
We're not.
I think some folks just need a little bit more time to review it. I think we can get to landing the plane by our next meeting within 2 weeks. So I'm good with that.
And I like your thought. You okay with 12th, David?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so let me
No,
throw that, that's cool.
Assuming we can expand it again.
So council, by show of hands, are you okay moving the moratorium from March the 11th to March the 12th? Please raise your hands. Sorry?
Need a motion in a second to do that.
Oh, sorry. Who would like to make the motion? David, would you like to make the motion?
I've never made a motion.
I make a motion to move the moratorium
I
from
make a
March 11th
motion
to
to
March
extend
12th.
the moratorium to March 11th, 2024. March 12th, 2024.
Perfect. Thank you,
Goodness
Councilmember
gracious.
Johnson. Is there a second on the item? Seconded by Councilmember Worthland. All in favor of moving the moratorium as proposed by Councilman Johnson from March the 11th to March 12th, please raise your hands. It passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Now, let's go back to the existing item that we had on
Plan on
hand.
making a motion without an amendment.
All right, so the current item on hand is underneath the city attorney's reports, the approval of text amendment to Article 4.4, massage establishments and spas of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Roswell. It is a second reading. What I'm hearing, is there a motion to defer this item of the second reading to the next council meeting? Councilmember Speason.
Yeah, motion to defer this item to the March 11th city council meeting.
Thank you very much. Yep. Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
I would just say with the understanding that we would receive feedback from business owners between now and then to be incorporated in that final reading.
That's absolutely, thank you very much. Is there a second to that motion? Second by Councilmember Johnson. All right, all in favor of moving the approval of text amendment to Article .444, massage establishments and spas of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Roswell, its second reading, and deferring it to the March 11th meeting, please raise your hands. Thank you very much. It passes unanimously. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Okay. So we got a lot of work to do in the next 2 weeks. Fair enough? Okay. All right. Yes, ma'am.
With the understanding that this will be heard at the March 11th meeting, I just want to clarify for business owners, and I think the chief of police is still counseling those folks in the lobby, still for all intents and purposes, that application should be due March 1st. So
January 1st.
it was due January 1st,
Yeah,
but the
it was
grace
due
period.
January 1st for existing businesses. There's a moratorium for new businesses until after this is adopted.
But my understanding from the chief of police was that grace period for enforcement on police's side was March 1st, correct?
That's on business licensing side.
And I think that's, it's just FYI, it can be very confusing when anytime you got a lot of working parts about it. I didn't do such a great job, Jeff. So if you're an existing business, right, you don't fall underneath the moratorium.
That's correct.
So the moratorium has nothing to do with you if you're existing business. If you're existing business, you need two things from the city of Roswell. You need a business license, which every business, I have a business license. You got a business in the city of Roswell with an address, you need a business license. Right? That's everybody. And those are due January 1st, and there's an extension where you don't get penalized with a fee up until March the 1st. That's a long-standing, ongoing deal for the city of Roswell. I don't even know how long that's been, but it's been around for a while. I don't know, Jeff, you know off the top of your head. A while. And then the new piece is the licensed retail, sorry, David, say the language correctly.
A licensed massage establishment.
Licensed massage establishment. If you're a massage therapy business in the city of Roswell, that's the second thing you need. And that is due January 1st. And you heard the chief say, if you ask me the answer to the question, it's due January 1st. If you don't have it in, go ahead and get it in now. Just go ahead and get the license now. Go ahead and apply for it, and you'll apply for that through the police. That's it. So hopefully that's a little bit of help. All right, let's go to item number 5. David, this is on yours as well. Would you read the next item of the city attorney's report?
Thank you, Mayor. This is approval of a resolution authorizing the mayor and/or city administrator with the city attorney to enter into a purchase and sale agreement with Fulton County Schools to purchase Crabapple Middle School and the option right of first refusal on Independence High School in the amount of $6.5 million.
Thank you, David. I'm sure everybody's going to want to weigh in on this one a little bit. Council, any thoughts, comments, or questions on this first item? Councilmember Hills.
I can't stand it. This is so exciting. I've been asking Keitha Stewart, our District 1 board member, about Crabapple Middle School for I don't know how many years, since my first kid was at Crabapple, and the discussion to renovate that school or rebuild it had come up. So we're tickled to death to to call it ours really soon, and appreciate the school board being so communicative with us and the negotiations and just partnering two government agencies working together for the benefit of this area. So I know our residents are going to love it, our visitors are going to love it, and I'm beyond words. I'm so excited about this. Thrilled. Thank you.
Thanks, Lee. Councilmember Mortland.
This is going to give an immediate, as soon as we get in there and open the doors for business, this is going to give immediate help to the Bill Johnson Community Center, to the Roswell Area Park, to all things park related in that neighboring property. So fantastic job on getting this. This was high priority for quite a long time now, and I'm just happy to see this coming through.
Thank you, Will. Christine Hall.
Yes, it's very exciting, and I don't know, maybe you could, Councilmember Morthland, talk a little bit about how the city's already been utilizing the facility in an agreement with Fulton County.
We currently have a joint usage agreement with Fulton County Schools for the field space behind. We're not doing the gym, right? The gym is not part of that, right? Just the field space behind. So what that means is the field that is directly behind the middle school, we are allowed access on that if we maintain it, for cutting it and doing all the things to keep it in good working order. So that is part of this, but also the things that are coming forward. This is an old school. It has plenty of classroom space. It has plenty of gymnasium space. It has everything that you could ask for to help eliminate some of the pressures that are coming forward with the Bill Johnson Center and anything else within our recreation and parks area. So again, fantastic purchase here.
Thank you, Will. Councilman Johnson.
Just to repeat what everyone said, this is a massive win for our city. And I think as someone with school-age, children who participate in sports and athletics at Roswell area parks, this is only going to get better.
Councilmember Sells. Councilmember Beeson. Why not?
I also am very excited about this purchase for Crabapple Middle School. Despite some awkward rumors during the election time of what I wanted to use this building for, I am very excited to see our parks programs be able to expand into a natural fit, which is completely adjacent to the existing Roswell area park. The popularity of our parks program is just a testament to how well our park system is run and the popularity of it for the entire region. So really looking forward to that expansion for our park system in the area.
Thank you, Sarah. All right, at this time, Katha, would you like to address us on this issue? Katha Stewart, Fulton County School Board member, thank you for being with us tonight.
Certainly. Thank you, Mayor and Council. I certainly share in the excitement. Councilmember Hills and I served on the PTA board at Crabapple Middle School when the school was supposed to get an addition, and then we were supposed to rebuild it on that site. Things didn't work out, and we had to find a new site. And like you, Councilman Hills, I'm glad that I won't have to continue to answer the question of what we're going to be doing with that, with the property. On behalf of the Fulton County Board of Education, and on behalf of the other citizens that I serve in Roswell, I am very pleased that we've been able to work things out with you all. I know it's taken us a while to get there, but that's just the way government works. So thank you all for working with us. I look forward to this transaction going through and to your increasing the park space for the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Katha, so much. Thank you. Thanks for making it happen. Any Roswell residents that'd like to weigh in on this matter? I tell you, I'm surprised the balloons aren't falling the way we've been working on this for a while. I'm so excited that Fulton County School Board and the City of Roswell put this together. This is a great win for the City of Roswell. So at this time, this is underneath, no, I don't have a council member. Lee, would you like to make a motion?
I would love to. Motion to approve a resolution authorizing mayor and/or city administrator with the city attorney to enter into a purchase and sale agreement with Fulton County Schools to purchase Crabapple Middle School and option right of first refusal on Independence High School in the amount of $6.5 million.
That's so cool. Thanks, Lee. Is there a second? Councilmember Mortland. That's a second? Okay, very good. That being said, all those in favor of the motion, please raise your hands. Passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Congratulations to the City of Roswell and to Fulton County School Board. Outstanding. David, the next item on the City Attorney's report, please, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. The next item I have is approval of a resolution authorizing the mayor and/or city administrator with the city attorney to enter into a purchase and sale agreement to purchase certain property at 1065 Green Street in the amount of $1,036,057.92.
Thank you, David. Does the council have any questions or comments on this matter? Thank you very much. Any Roswell residents have any thoughts, comments, or questions on this matter? Yes, ma'am. Welcome, Janet Russell. Always glad to see you.
So the rumor is that's what you're going to put the parking garage. Is that true or not true?
It is part of our economic development strategy.
I asked if that is where you plan to put the parking garage, not part of the economic strategy.
Yes, ma'am. I'm clearly aware of the question you asked me, and the answer is it's part of our economic development strategy.
Well, I'm just going to tell you that if you think you're going to put a parking garage there, it's really a big mistake. It's right across the street from a 5-level, 600-car parking garage that will be part of the Southern Post. I suggested about 10 years ago that we should purchase what was then the Wells Fargo Bank because it had been there as a 3-story building for 30, 40 years when it was the Roswell Bank, and that should become the parking lot, garage, 3 stories, with ingress, egress from Mimosa or Magnolia, or whatever you call it over there, for cars, and ingress, egress for humans to Webb Street, and create a walking alley from Webb Street to Canton Street, and to wrap the lower level in small shops, services, whatever, to make it continuous with the historic district. Of course, I was ignored because I know nothing about tourism and economic development. None of you were here present, except Mr. Davidson, perhaps. But I think you need to look, we're already using the former Wells Fargo Bank as a parking lot. And you know, there's an old saying, paths create themselves. If you want to know where to build a path, you look where people walked on the grass and walked through the rocks, and that's where you put a path. Well, if people are already using that parking lot, maybe that's where you need to consider putting a parking garage. Duh. And I must have told 10 people in the last 2 days, you know, there's free parking right behind the building. The free parking sign is about the size of one of these cards. And I remind them that the RUMC has free parking across the street that we also pay them for. So no one's saying 1.65 million or whatever you're spending is a waste of money. But I think if you put a parking garage there, it's really going to put stress on Green Street, which is maybe 1.5 car widths wide with no sidewalks and a nursing home. But I predict that the next thing to go will be the nursing home. I predicted it when Swallow at the Hollow and Greenwoods on Green Street were sold and put up with enormous, expensive townhomes. The nursing home will be the next to go because we love our elderly and our handicapped and our underserved so much that we'll kick them out. Trust me, make this a part of the record. The nursing home will be the next thing to go. And I would say to that, shame on the city of Roswell.
Thank you, Ms. Russell. Are there other Roswell residents who would like to speak on this matter? Being that there are none, I'll bring it back to council for any additional thoughts or comments on the issue at hand. Being that there are none, do I have a motion on this particular matter? Thank you, Councilmember Morthland.
Let's see. Motion to approve resolution authorizing the mayor and/or city administrator with the city attorney to enter into a purchase and sale agreement to purchase certain property at 1065 Green Street in the amount of $1,036,057.92.
Thank you, Councilmember Morthland. Is there a second on this issue?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Hills. All those in favor, please raise your hands. Motion passed unanimously. Thank you very much. City Attorney Davidson, would you read the next item on the city attorney's report, please, sir?
Thank you, Mayor. The next item I have is approval of resolution authorizing the mayor and/or city administrator with the city attorney to enter into a purchase and sale agreement to purchase the property at 1058 Alpharetta Street in the amount of $1.1 million.
Thank you, David. Council, do you have any thoughts, comments, or questions on the matter at hand? Being that there are none, I'll ask any Roswell residents if you have any thoughts, comments, or questions on the issue at hand. Being that there are none, I'll bring it back to council. Any final thoughts, comments, or questions? Being that done, do I have a motion on the matter? Motion by Councilmember Workland, please, sir.
Motion to approve resolution authorizing the mayor and/or city administrator with the city attorney to enter into a purchase and sale agreement to purchase such property at 1058 Alpharetta Street in the amount of $1.1 million.
Thank you, Councilman Worthland. Do I have a second on the issue?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Hills. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Before I get too far down, it's very important news here. Last item, I think, on the city attorney's report before we get to closure is it is James Barker's birthday. Happy birthday, James. Thank you.
I believe Mr. Davidson's birthday scene.
Exactly. Sorry we didn't get that earlier, James. It's Randy's fault. He's holding back on me. All right. The last item, David, on the city attorney's report. Would you please read it, sir?
Thank you, Mayor. This is a recommendation for closure to discuss personnel, litigation, and real estate.
Thank you, David. Do I have a motion for closure? Motion by Councilmember Beeson for closure. Do I have a second for closure? Councilmember Morton, second for closure. All those in favor of closure, please raise your hands. Thank you very much. Motion for closure passes. Being that there are no other items, this mayor and council meeting of February 26, 2024 is adjourned. Thank you so much. Have a great evening. Thank you for being here.